Before Jesus, before Buddha, before the pyramids had finished baking under the Egyptian sun, there was something already alive in the lands of what we now call India. That something was Hinduism. Often called the world's oldest religion, Hinduism has been around for over 4,000 years. But to many Hindus, it's not just old, it's timeless, eternal. Without a clear beginning, and with no single founder, it feels more like a river that has always flowed. The first signs of Hinduism go way back to the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the earliest urban societies on Earth. They built well-planned cities, practiced ritual bathing, and worshipped powerful feminine forces, goddesses. Even then, something sacred was in the air. But the major turning point came during what's called the Vedic period. Around 1500 BCE, a series of ancient texts called the Vedas were composed in Sanskrit, India's classical language. These texts weren't casual bedtime stories. They were deep, poetic hymns about gods, nature, and the big questions of life. The oldest of them all, the Rig Veda, is a massive collection of over 1,000 hymns. Imagine that, people singing about the mysteries of life, fire, storms, and the universe long before most of the world had even written a word. But beyond gods and nature, the Vedas hinted at something even bigger, a single, invisible force connecting everything in the universe. They called it Brahman. Not a god in the usual sense, more like the energy behind everything. Some call it divine, some call it reality itself. In Hinduism, gods are everywhere, but they're not all competing for attention. Most Hindus believe the many gods are just different faces of that same Brahman. Whether it's Vishnu the protector, Shiva the transformer, or Lakshmi the goddess of wealth, they're all part of the same cosmic truth. Now, here's where things get interesting, and a little controversial. One hymn in the Rig Veda describes the universe being created from a cosmic being. From his mouth came the priests, from his arms came warriors, from his thighs came merchants, and from his feet came the servants. This poetic image became the basis for what we now know as the caste system. At first, it was meant to describe different roles in society, but over time, it became a rigid hierarchy. People were expected to stay in the group they were born into, and that affected everything from marriage to job opportunities. Still, the spiritual goals of life in Hinduism are remarkably balanced. There are 4 main goals every person should try to follow. Dharma, doing what's right and fulfilling your duty. Artha, earning a living and creating prosperity. Kama, enjoying life and its pleasures. Moksha, letting go of attachments and finding spiritual freedom. Pretty reasonable, right? Work hard, enjoy life, be good, and eventually, let go. One of Hinduism's core beliefs is karma, the idea that everything you do has consequences, not just in this life, but in the next. And yes, that's where reincarnation comes in. Hindus believe that after death, your soul is reborn. If you lived a life of kindness, selflessness, and growth, your next life might be better. But if you caused harm or chased only selfish desires, well, you might have to go through some serious life lessons next time around. Maybe even as a cockroach. Not joking. It's a system of personal responsibility without anyone keeping score from the sky. Your life is your own doing. Kind of comforting, kind of terrifying. If you really want to understand the heart of Hinduism, look no further than its 2 legendary epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Ramayana is the tale of Prince Rama, whose wife Sita is kidnapped by a demon king. What follows is a journey of courage, loyalty, and divine drama, with monkeys and flying chariots included. Then there's the Mahabharata, one of the longest poems ever written. In it, 2 branches of a royal family battle it out in a brutal war. But right before the fight begins, the warrior Arjuna freezes, overwhelmed by doubt. His charioteer, who turns out to be Lord Krishna, gives him a crash course in life, duty, and the soul. That conversation became the Bhagavad Gita, a spiritual classic that still moves millions today. As time passed, Hinduism grew more diverse and colorful. Temples were built, art flourished, and rituals became more elaborate. Gods were celebrated with dance, music, offerings, and festivals that lit up entire cities. But not everyone felt included. Around the 5th century BCE, some people began to question the growing complexity and hierarchy of Hindu practices. One of them was Siddhartha Gautama, a Hindu prince who eventually became the Buddha. He founded Buddhism, which moved away from ritual and caste, focusing instead on inner peace and personal awakening. Still, Hinduism didn't fade. It evolved. It absorbed. It adapted. Over centuries, India was invaded and ruled by various powers: Muslim dynasties, then British colonizers. Hindu temples were destroyed, traditions were challenged, and foreign rulers tried to reshape society. The British, for example, took the caste system and made it even more rigid, dividing society into neat little boxes for easier control. They also brought in Christian missionaries, who tried to convert Indians by calling Hindu beliefs superstition. But the response wasn't silence. Hindu reformers began rethinking their traditions. Some simplified rituals, others spoke up against discrimination. Hinduism was entering the modern world. Perhaps no one symbolized this transformation more than Mahatma Gandhi. A devout Hindu, Gandhi believed deeply in ahimsa, non-violence. He used Hindu ideas of truth, simplicity, and self-restraint to build a peaceful resistance against British rule. And it worked. India gained independence in 1947, but it came with heartbreak, partition, which split the land into two countries, India and Pakistan. One mostly Hindu, the other mostly Muslim. India's new constitution banned caste discrimination, but social habits are slow to change. Still, progress continues, led by activists, artists, and millions of everyday people who challenge the old ways. Today, Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world. You'll find Hindus in India, Nepal, Mauritius, Trinidad, London, New York, Sydney, and pretty much everywhere. Its impact on the modern world is massive. Yoga, meditation, the idea of mindfulness, the popularity of karma, and even vegetarianism in the West all trace their roots back to Hindu thought. Even the Beatles went to India in the 1960s, seeking spiritual answers. What they found inspired their music and started a global wave of interest in Hindu philosophy. So what is Hinduism? It's not just one belief or one book or one god. It's a way of seeing the world, a world where everything is connected, where every action matters, and where the journey of the soul is never really over. Whether you're a Hindu, a curious outsider, or someone just wondering what life is all about, Hinduism welcomes questions more than answers. Because sometimes, the deepest truths aren't taught, they're remembered. And hey, if you want more history that doesn't feel like school, just hit that subscribe button. Here on Historify, we make history easy to enjoy.